It's a little before 7.
Well, let's get it over with. I got to get home and eat supper.
Me too.
Okay, Brock. Well,
what do you want to talk about?
Well, let's
and you'll edit and we'll talk about this before we shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
worked good with the Pistol Boys.
You should have heard them after I turned off our recorder. It was like, good thing we turned those up.
Yeah, it probably is. Probably is.
It's nice.
So I guess a good place to start would be tell us a little about this car and the history of it for people who don't know who John Orr is and whatnot.
Well, that'd be
I'll
Dad.
tell them when you bought the car.
Well, I bought the car about 8 or 9 years ago. Got a phone call. I painted the rear fender on the car. Johnny got gasoline on the rear fender, and I just nonchalantly said, "Hey, if you ever want to sell that car, keep me in mind." Didn't think nothing of it, And Johnny passed away, and the family called me up and said, "Would you be interested in that car?" Well, I was about the 5th or 6th guy. I went over and looked at it. And I didn't negotiate any prices. I just said, "What do you want?" And they told me. And I took Dad over there, and Dad goes, "Well, that ought to include all the car parts that go with it, right?" So, yeah. So you want to help me get
You
the
was a
car?
little late on that, though, because
Somebody had been there before me and got a lot of smalls. But, man, dragged the car out of the building. The wheels were locked up on it. And the same way with the sedan. The sedan's gone now. But
Johnny bought this car probably in 51. I tried to buy the car from him in 56. And in 56, he took it to Ed Schoaf down on South Broadway, a little body shop. Was going to have it painted like he's got it now. And Ed hit on hard times. He thought, well, I'll just collect my insurance on the body shop and burn her down. Well, he forgot Johnny's 40 was in there. He set it on fire. And he finally had to pull the 40 out with another vehicle. He said you could fry an egg on top of this car. It was getting that hot.
imagine that car being burned to the
Anyway,
ground.
Johnny never did anything with this car for years and years and years. He just stored it here and there and here, just every place. It was up in Cedric, Kansas in a storage building out on a farm. I tried to buy it. Johnny still wouldn't sell it, so he was quite a guy.
He was second owner of it, right?
Yeah, second
so I'm
owner.
the third owner of it.
Yeah, you're the third owner of that
90-year-old car.
But Johnny Orr, he was quite a guy, I'll tell you right now.
But I met him because of my shop up on 61st. Yeah, I fixed a car for him, then he had an issue with that, and I painted it, and car winds up here.
It's got a Jerry Lewis motor in it, full dress flathead in it. Tom Richards did the interior back in maybe the 60s. And this car went over to Florence, Kansas, to Franklin Buggy Works. And they're the ones that did the paint on the car. That was back in the 70s. So,
You think it's been that long?
oh, I know it's been that long. Yes. Anyway,
70s. What year were you born?
99.
99. You're just a pup, boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's quite a car. It's got a lot of history with it. And he used to drag Douglas with this car.
Had you ever seen that car, Travis?
I don't think so.
No.
It doesn't ring a bell to me. The name I've heard, I think, talking to you.
Right.
So did you know him in 51 when he
Oh,
bought the
Lord,
car?
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I knew him. Yeah, we all. Oh,
Well, you were a kid.
You were sure I wasn't 16, maybe years old back in.
From the stories I've heard, that 16 you'd been on your fourth car at that time, probably.
Yeah.
16
Yeah.
for me is like 16 for you. And I was
was,
evolved slowly, like.
I was telling this kid about that 36 I bought, first vehicle. And I give $40 for it. Tail dragger, skirts, spotlights, dog-eyed, full dress flathead, $40. Didn't even have a driver license. Drove it home from McConnell Air Force Base. My dad liked to kill me. He said, "You're not going to drive that car. I'll wait till you go to work and I get out and drive it and put it on a shade tree and cool it off with a water hose and see got to fill that motor." I said, "If I've been driving it," but I done had it all cooled off for him. But he finally caught up with me, But yeah, we had a good time in that old car.
So
That's crazy.
So you know him. You knew about this car when he got it in 51. Then, so there's a long history.
There's a long history of this car,
in
yes.
your heart
And
writing this down.
Johnny was a super, super guy, and he was born with afflicted, crippled. You never knew it, though. He was always on top of everything, But,
Seemed like a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, he had quite a few cars. He had a 48 sedan, and plus this 40 and a 44
He
four-door.
was an engineer at Cessna, right?
Yeah. He's an engineer.
When I got all his parts, everything was indexed, labeled, and there was a Rolodex. I had a book that had everything he had in boxes labeled. The boxes were like 1 to 1,000, and I've got the index of everything that was in the boxes. But somebody got there before me and dug around through all the stuff and kind of messed it up a little bit. But that was a pretty good little experience.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to see how
Well-
his passion was different, you know.
So do you have an index of all the boxes and stuff?
I still got all that.
I mean, all the
Yeah.
other stuff for all the other cars.
You know, I've had the car, and I'm wrong on how long I've had the car. I've had
I
it.
know you had longer than that.
I've had longer than that.
Yeah,
than what I
but-
said, but
We
the
brought
car
two,
still-
we brought 2 truckloads of parts home off this car.
yeah.
And I guess you still got them, don't
I
you?
still got it all. I still
Yeah.
got it all, and I've
And-
re-indexed it, and I keep thinking, oh, when I retire, I'll go and I'll swap meet this stuff. But then you get a hold of it, you kind of hate to get rid of it because you're
You
the
don't-
caretaker of it, man.
Yeah, you don't find it no more. No.
No, I was down there in Texas with Don Smith, and Don's liquidating his stuff, you know. And Don, I laid out, I laid out 6 Strongberg carburetors, and I said, Don, what's the pick of the litter? He goes, well, I got probably twice that many at home. I'm like, well, I'll take these and then call me, but that stuff's gone. The real stuff.
It's only hoarding if your stuff isn't cool.
Right.
you're just like,
And you're the caretaker of it,
Everybody
But-
always tells me, so why you got all this old stuff out here for? That's what, go find some of it.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't find it. It's gone. It's history. And
Can't.
I've had a lot of stuff I wish I'd have never let go, but I did,
What did you say your biggest the oops was as far as letting something go? What's your biggest regret?
So what now? What?
What do you regret the most letting go out of all the stuff you had to let go through?
Oh, there's been a lot of automobiles I let go, and I wish I'd have never.
How many
let
cars
go.
do you own?
Probably 185, something. Maybe more than that. Yeah, I'm
How
sure.
many did you title?
Well, I titled all of them, but
Whatever.
I've had the same State Farm insurance since I was 14.
Well, you know what that'll get you if you ever have an accident?
Cup of
A
coffee.
lot of frustration.
Yeah, and a cup of coffee.
A lot of frustration. The insurance companies now, it's so,
And
they're
I'll tell
so
you, it's-
disconnected from their customers.
You ought to have been around in our days back in, if you never lived the 50s and 60s,
No.
you missed it. You missed it. Now, when they cruised Douglas, they would always cruise, and there was so many nice cars there, you could not believe what was
This is the
going
main
down.
drag here in Wichita.
What was going
Okay.
down Douglas, and I told this kid here a while ago, you didn't need no headlights on. Everything was lit up down Wichita. They had the marquee lights on the Wichita Theater, the Miller Theater, the State Theater. There's about 6 theaters on Douglas Avenues, and everything was lit up. You left the Continental Grill at Seneca and Douglas. You cruised down the hillside.
This was the neon
Then you went
capital?
south the hillside to Pawnee, where they called it Town and Country, was another drive-in. There'd be cars down there waiting, getting Cokes, the hamburgers, whatever, and they had to take off and go cruise back to the Continental Grill. That's what took place all night. You didn't see anybody parked on the curb with a lawn chair saying, looky here, and the cops didn't bother you because they didn't have very many cops to start with, and we all knew the cops anyhow. But anyway, very seldom anybody would turn a tire and squill them, It was just a cruising deal and fun deal. It was a fun deal. And you could do that, probably for 3 or 4 gallons of gas a night because the gas was only 17, 18 cents a gallon back in the
That's
day,
nuts, man.
And that's the way it was back in my day. That's what I say. But we didn't have the money to buy gas, but we got it someplace because we went every night, cruised.
So it wasn't just Douglas. It was more, you actually had a route you guys.
We had a route. You started 1 block west of Seneca and Douglas. You went east on that to hillside to Pawnee, and then turned around. And then sometimes we went up to Central to what they call a cow corner. It's like a little root beer stand. You pull in, park your cars, like Males Drive In.
Yeah.
They had one up there by the Wesley Hospital. We did that sometime, but it wasn't very popular like the rest of it was, But boy, we had cars. I laugh at these guys today. They're trying to reinvent the wheel, and they can't. I remember them cars going down Douglas so low, a 54 Buick went by, gear shift lever up the headliner. He just kicked her and sucked a gear, and you couldn't go down 5 miles. That old car was on the bottom. It's so bad it just shook everything. But like I said, Dave Stuckey's on there with his nailhead Buick in the Studebaker 53. There was a guy named Jerry Isabel, had a 40 Ford Coupe, Pigeon red, white rolling pleated interior, small block Chevrolet. About the first one I ever seen with a small block in it, Batwing air cleaner. and Stucky had louvered the hood. The last louver, he broke it out, so the guy hung the hood on the wall, ran it without a hood, and it was unbelievable what that car was. When it come down Douglas, everybody pulled over and let him go by. It was really, really a show car
nuts.
piece. And Paul Harrington had the 32.3 one of the Hubert Hornets has got now. Same way. Everything was chrome plate underneath it, Hesian red, had a Chrysler in it, but you couldn't drive it. It shimmied so bad he couldn't go with 5-10 mile an hour, you know. But we didn't know what to do with it back in them days, how to make it quit doing that. But we had a good time on Douglas.
What did Larry O'Connor do to raise his car up in the back? What was the deal?
We used to have them down in the back like a tail dragger. Then they went up high. There you go. Well, the guys would put tube fours in between the axles and the frame. And Larry O'Connor had a 40 Chevrolet, really a nice black car. Waco and Douglas. I seen him, he's going down there and the back end just bouncing, you know. I said, well, he got the tube fours on it. We stopped at a stoplight. I went up there and shook that car. One of them tube fours flew out. The old car went sideways. Last time I seen him, he was going north on Waco. Oh, we had fun days. It was nice. It was neat back in them days. It just, when they built the Century 2, that's
Is
when
the Forum the Broadway Hotel?
No.
It was actually on the grounds with Sister 2 in the
Exactly.
library world.
Exactly.
I think we had one or two shows there before it closed. I saw it.
And guess what? You went upstairs on a ramp.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Upstairs, the second floor, and that's where the car show was.
I saw a flyer, and I think it advertised 50 cars or 75.
Starboard's shop was at Mount Vernon and Broadway.
Okay.
I did my debut at Darrell Starboard when I was about 10 years old. I built a chopper bike. Remember? Black Magic. We rolled it in there. It was a competition between Dad and Gary Cushionberry trying to get their kids to have the coolest bike. And I won. We got there, and my Uncle Bob helped build the forks and everything. And I did all the mud work. And I did all the welding on that bike.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
10, 11 years old. I peaked young. But I was smart enough not to follow the ISCA circuit because I knew your money would separate quickly from you if you tried to follow the car show gig. I did that with Gino, that 53 F100. I took it to some shows and I tried to do that show circuit deal. I knew instantly that's a rich man game. Yeah, and plus it ain't like going out and getting a rod run, you know.
And there's nothing against the ISCA, but the way the rules are set up, it encourages you to do more to the car to get more points, but it doesn't necessarily mean it.
And you know,
just because you can don't mean you should.
That's Dave Lane.
I'm not knocking.
Yeah, Dave Lane.
I don't need to chrome any of this because the car doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it.
But the judge wants you to chrome it.
Yeah, well, when you're climbing around your car with a flashlight, yeah, that ain't my kind of deal. Because I've never seen a perfect car in my life. Have you?
I don't see it perfect, but I've seen some real close.
But that's $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.5 million.
$3 billion.
The Impala Cooks just built.
Young man, your green truck was pretty close to
It was a
damn
nice
perfect
truck.
that
It
you
was a
could
nice
ever
truck.
get.
But, trying to raise kids, you got to get money and you got to let things go.
No, you don't. No, you didn't. That was
Brock,
silly.
what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a 2.5-year-old, and I had to sell my e-bike, so I relate to that.
Electric bike, because he got a 2.5-year-old kid. Had to sell his e-bike. Now, how do you get to the quick shop when you want to go?
I have my license back, so I just drive now. But
you lost your license?
I told you about that.
That's right.
That was like a 3-month period. So I was riding dirty for like 3 months.
Nice. Well,
allegedly. Yeah, obviously allegedly. But
growing up around this stuff, and then of course, we don't talk about collision much because collision is collision.
Right.
But a lot of my clientele for collision comes, and they got this kind of stuff, the hot rod stuff. It feeds off each other. And I was talking to Dad the other night about this car, Johnny Orr car, and he rattled off a few things. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you tried to buy that car in the 50s?
Well, yes, that's right.
And guys like Dad, they
People
didn't
didn't sell their cars. They didn't sell their cars back in them days.
No.
Too hard to get a hold of.
They parked them in the barn and got their daily drivers and forgot about them cars.
I've had the Galaxy for 20 years now.
Well, sure, yes.
I've put 120,000 miles on or something like that.
How many?
120,000.
Okay, I'll better that.
I'm sure.
Dad's Vicky's been done for how many years?
Which one?
The Black Vicky.
The Black Vicky has been done 30 years or more.
1,200 miles on
I
it.
remember telling me
1,200 miles on it. And I work on it for him, and I'm like, I said, I got it where it's running cool. I got rid of that tune port. Now you got a regular carburetor on it and everything. It don't feel as peppy as it once was. And my speedometer's not working. It's not laminated. It's not
Brand new
illuminated.
speedometer. He got it where it won't work now.
The speedometer is 30 years old.
Well, it's still brand new. And ain't got no
Brand
miles on
new
it.
speedometer, and it should be working. And then your dome light was an issue.
Yeah,
So to change all that, I got to lay under the car, tear all that dash back out. I'm like, you don't need a dome light. You don't need a speedometer. You're not going nowhere. And then now with me being laid up, I can't lay under the dash that car anyway.
You can't. Not now you can't.
But, you know.
My 32 sedan came out of Oklahoma off the Indian reservation. And I give $1,050 for that car.
So you paying taxes on it?
Well, yeah, I got to pay taxes on it.
I don't even avoid sales tax.
Yeah, $12 a year.
Yeah,
Taxes, no sales tax. That was
No. But, you know,
I've had a lot of automobiles in my lifetime.
in Wichita, Kansas,
We set it back.
think of all the guys dad's age in Wichita
Oh, yeah.
and the cars. And then we talked about this on that first podcast, these cars that are popping up. You can't go and dismember all these family
there's people-
collections.
Because
Can't
people
do it.
like you guys don't remember, like Eddie Terry. You know, he had a 44 that
Yeah.
Rufford's got.
Yeah.
And Terry Dean on the body shop, 31st and Seneca.
Yeah.
He's the one painted the 323 one at Tejan Red. That 54 Buick Tejan Red, that was a popular color back in the day. And he charged Paul Harrington $200 to paint that car. He didn't have the money. He sat out there on Pawnee and Seneca and 31st all summer long. He's making payments on it. He works at Teton's
For a $200
IGA.
paint job.
Teton's IGA is a sack boy, and he only got $4 or $5 a week or whatever. And that's what he took and paid for that car. But now Hubert Horns has got that car, and it needs everything, but it's still a nice old car, you know.
Same color.
Oh yeah, same color, same paint on it. But
Hub won't sell it.
no, Hub won't sell it. It's an old round and round race car. Round and round. It had numbers on the doors, and today, if you look at it, it's got 40.
But it never
sergeant
smacked the
taillights.
wall. I'm telling you, it was a nice car.
Oh, it's a nice car, yeah.
It never smacked the wall.
Your grandpa gave me the front fenders for it and the hood, and I don't know what he did with that, but we used to have pinstripers in Wichita. You don't hear about no pinstripers no more. Just Nadine.
One or two guys.
Yeah, Nadine or
Jeb,
Jeb.
McGregor.
Jeb does a good job. But back in our day, there was a lot of pinstripers in Wichita. Roger Kilburn, Douglas and Patty, his daddy owned an automotive store right there with all the hot rod parts. He had a 58 Corvette. He was a pinstriper in Wichita. He did my 51 Chevy convertible. And boy, it was nice. And there was sure Steve Parks, old Shaky. I named him Shaky, you know.
Crazy of Kansas. Remember
Crazy.
what was his name? Neil?
Yeah, Kirby Neal's brother.
Kirby Neal's brother. Crazy of Kansas.
Old George, colored guy. Best
King.
best pinstriper I ever seen. I seen him take a 56 Chevrolet, put a brush on that strip that comes down on a 210, went to walking. That'll just perfect. When he got to the end, you could even wiggle a bit. It was just unbelievable what the pinstripers used to be here in Wichita. But everything
That's a
changes.
dying art, man.
That's a dying art. Yes, it is.
I could probably, if I had to, I could probably put together 6 or 8 people
Well,
right in the area that pinstripe. But
Right.
they don't do it every week.
Right.
The
Right.
guy
It's not
down
their
in,
living.
It's not their living.
What was the guy down in Dewey? I knew him real well. Just passed away about 3 years ago.
Myers.
Yeah, Myers.
That was a buddy of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a good pinstriper.
Yeah. He had a lot of fun stories of Billy Gibbons had him strike some guitars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once-
That's
Once
the
you come down to Austin,
ZZ Top
Yeah,
to help you out because you're a youngster.
I'm still a little older than you. So, so Billy was, hey, why don't you come down to Austin and strap some cards for me? I told him, you're rich, ship them up here. I don't want to go to Austin. You know, he was just
Right.
that kind of
Right.
old guy. As long as I had a few friends that would bring him over to their house when they got a new house, and he would just go lay pinstripes all over the house for them for a small fee for a whole day's worth of work.
It's kind of a cool idea.
Hell, I had Blano here, and Blano
Oh,
just
yeah.
spent a day
remember.
striping my bar. You know.
I remember old Starboard, Bob McKenzie got a brand new 55 Chevrolet, ordered quality Chevrolet, you know. And he got it on Friday night. Friday night, he took Starboard and they put Packard taillights in.
Oh my God.
Oh, you wouldn't know. Nobody in town did that, you know.
The head of their time.
And the first set of wheels, nobody had wheels in Wichita. Nobody could afford no wheels. Chrome wheels, mag wheels, they didn't exist. This guy showed up in Wichita. He had a 52 Chevy Coupe, metallic blue, nose didn't deck, no door handles, had white rolling plate interior. He had a set of chrome reverse wheels, and he lived by North High School. Now, you thought they was giving away candy or something over there, because every night people would go by his house and
Just see the car.
see the car sitting out there, you know. And it was quite a deal. I can't remember the guy's name, but I used to know him. And there was so many neat cars in Wichita, you would never believe what used to be here.
When so many aircraft workers, spent their days metal forming, or
Yeah.
welding, or
Right, yeah.
designing, and then went home and tinkered on their cars.
That's a fact.
And I've heard the stories from even guys from Jack Marinelli's age who, you see his early 70s. He's talking about, there used to be a guy that you just take a piece to him and come back a couple days later. Now your piece is chrome. And
Yeah, they
just
did
went
that.
through the process.
And networking process.
They did that at Beach and Boy, you know. They
You could bootleg stuff
yeah,
back
put
in the
stuff
day.
in there, and
Not
there was a
anymore.
guy named Frank Kitchen had a blue 40 Ford coupe like this, no hood on it, white tunnel cover over the engine and everything, and it was chrome from one end to the other. He worked there, and it was just cars like that all over Wichita. I mean, unbelievable what it was in Wichita, Kansas.
So the Chevy you talk about with the chrome reverse wheels on, did it come to town that way? Did they move to town?
No, he lived here.
Oh, so he built
And,
it. Okay.
yeah, he built a car, and I don't know how he got the wheels out of California. We couldn't afford hubcaps, much less wheels, you know. But we did have hubcaps for every day of the week.
When did you see Wichita start transitioning away from like all this? Well, now, like when did you start seeing it change?
Well, they started in the 60s, 70s. You know, 70s, they started going to newer cars and muscle cars and that kind of stuff. And now, look what you got now. Mustangs.
Yeah.
Toyotas, Hondas. You know, you could outrun one barefooted.
Well, I don't know about that.
You can buy I think, is it a 10-second Mustang off the showroom
Yeah.
floor now?
Yeah.
Some of them
And then a
Mustangs are
9-second
pretty heavy
Dodge.
breathing.
Well, no, they quit those. Those are done.
Those are nice. The Dodges are done.
This is the Copo Camaras.
They did a run of them. I don't know if they're still in production, but they did a run there.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'll tell you what made a believer out of me. It was Kyle with that 4-cylinder
Oh, that Honda?
Honda his. They shut him down at International. They cornered him. They said, "You got to take this car home, get it off the track. No row bar, no nothing, running in the nines."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a week after that, a friend of his got killed out there at the high school
Same kind
drag.
of car.
Same identical car, but they were running them spooled motors, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nuts.
Everybody was building cars when the cars that came out of the factory were cool looking.
Yeah.
Like you could make it a little cooler by doing a couple things.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, GTO comes out. And then the Mustang comes out, and at first it's a secretary's car. Well, then you slap a 289 or a 302
Right.
in it.
Because
You know-
like the Mustang and like the Mustang and a hat.
Well, then,
No, you're thinking Charlie's Angels days.
You know,
These are
you know.
early 90s.
I tried to buy this car years ago, and I didn't have no money. You know, been the old lady just got married and all that. Anyway, but I found one down on Harris Street. The nose of it was sticking out by in an alley. A barber owned it. It was green like this car, but it had the whiskey dents in the fenders and stuff, you know. And I said, I'd like to buy that car from you. I said, my brother-in-law wants it.
So you're lying right off the bat.
Yeah, and he sold it to me for $125.
I have a question. Okay, perfect. That's leading to the next question. How you said you just got married? How much you spend on the ring?
Oh my God, $125.
You're lying ass.
No, I ain't. That shit don't wear no more. It don't fit. But anyway, guess what?
$125 for a
This
ring.
40 was a nice old car, run good, but the whiskey dents on the fenders, you know, and the barber on it, $225. So we took it and brought it home. And Bob Ward, your uncle, we went to
Your brother-in-law.
Valley Center, Bill Black's body shop up there. We bought
Squatty
Four.
body.
4 NOS fenders for $20 a piece. and put-
Unbelievable.
and put on that car. Got an NOS hood. We had a nice 40. I like this car when we got done with it, you know. But
$20 a fender.
$20 a fender. But we couldn't get up in the attic to get the fenders because Vaughn up there, the painter, was painting the car and said, Bill said, you can't get up there and knock dust out on this car. I said, you got to come back tomorrow. So we went back and got the fenders, you know.
That's awesome. What
Yeah.
year was that?
Oh, hell, who knows, Lonnie? I don't
Early,
know.
late.
Oh, it was in the 58, 59, something.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so as the muscle cars coming out, you can just go to the dealer and buy a
Oh yeah.
buy
Oh,
a
yeah.
hot rod, basically buy a factory hot rod.
Well, see, my
Build less and
convertible,
less of them. Then all of a sudden, at some point, that $20 might seem like a lot for a fender in the late 70s.
it was a lot of
Yeah,
money in there. It was a lot of money.
Uh,
But, you know, I just had to have a 55, 67 Chevrolet. You know, they came out in 55, a V8, and everybody wanted a V8. I couldn't buy the wheels off of it, you know. Anyway, 56 come along, and I still couldn't buy it. 57 been out about 6 months. I went down, I seen a leftover 56 back on the quality's lot. I said, what do you want for that car back there? He said, $1,050. Well, I went home, told the old man, I got to have that car, just like the car I got today, identical car I got today. Anyway, he said, you got to sell that convertible, son. I sold my 51 Chevy convertible for $450, and my payments on that 56 was $28 a month, and I had a hell of a time making the payments. But
When you mentioned the $200 paint job kept that guy's car or get hawk all summer. Right?
yeah.
Today, if someone wants to paint a 40 Ford, is there any single line item that can be bought, materials or anything, for $200?
No way.
No,
I mean,
no
your
way.
paint is
We
And
tell people right
hey,
that, you know, it's 200 hours refinish
you know,
time for
Terry-
the car.
Terry Dean's
Yeah,
the
man.
one that painted that car. And years and years and years later, me and Lynn was riding around on Sunday, and I seen a guy working on the car back behind his house in his garage, and I went back there. I like to fell over. It was Terry Dean's 32 Ford pickup truck with a chop top, old motor in it, big long tail, like Cadillac tail lights, it, and Nerf bars on it. And the guy didn't want to sell it. And I said, well, I'll be back and talk to you. I can't find that house.
Oh boy.
I lost where it was at, and I
You're
never do
kidding.
that. I never
Let's
do
go
that.
hop in the car. We'll look all 4 directions. We'll drive around 25.
There used to
I
be
knew,
so many.
I knew it was down on East Douglas. That wing station used to be there, and it was south about 2 blocks, and I can't find it. But
You
You ought to see that. It was a cobalt blue, white interior in it, nice Oldsmobile motor, yeah, and Nerf bars front and rear. It was a nice car. Chopping channel, huh?
By the time that I came into cars, the go-to engine combinations are 350, right?
Yeah,
Right.
But in your day, it was nail heads. It was
Nail heads.
Oldsmobile J2s. It was
yay too.
what was your favorite engine to have in a car in those days?
Well, I always like my Chevrolets, you know.
Yeah.
I can make a Chevrolet run pretty good. But J2Os, they were nice.
Yeah.
And Hemis were real nice. And Cadillacs were real popular. 51, 52 Cadillacs. Most 32 Fords and 40 Fords had Cadillac in them. And
Just fit in issue.
oh, yes, yeah, they fit in. They fit in.
Well, no, talking about fitment, Johnny put a Cadillac motor in this at one point, right?
Yeah, he did.
And he stood on the cow with a sledgehammer and beat the firewall in to make the motor fit. And in this article, it talks about that was one of his biggest mistakes. He destroyed that car on a Saturday afternoon trying to get the motor in so he could go to a grudge match out at International, right?
Yeah. No, not International. Out of McConnell Air Force Base.
McCall Air Force Base.
That's where we used to drag race out
He
there.
said that cost him more than anything doing the restoration on the car, fixing the firewall that he got impatient.
I bet you
on.
guys never heard of the Hicks brothers, have you?
The name sounds familiar.
They're from down south there. That town's where the hell's it at? I can't think.
down south.
No. Anyway, they had 32 Ford. They called it Invisible O's.
And it might be you that told me about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invisible O's.
Yes, and he has Oldsmobile V-gasser. And they had a little homemade trailer they hauled it in. 2-axle trailer, 1-axle trailer, made out of galvanized tin like a barn. And he bring up here to the Nationals up here to drag races. Hal Gardens was here, Al Kangle, all the big guys were here. And he'd blow the doors off anything with a V-gasser. And Garland Smith had a 50 Oldsmobile, lived in Wichita. And he had a big-ass Oldsmobile, but he ran with Hoseman and Neil, you know, that on Hillside. A lot of drag racers in Wichita, but
Yeah, and I noticed over the years talking with a lot of the custom guys, there were almost like cliques.
oh yeah,
Oh,
There were tons of clubs.
right.
But I mean, were the drag racer people in one certain area? in
Oh,
town,
yeah.
or were they
Oh,
all
yeah.
over? Or?
they were all over.
Okay.
Wichita was, yeah.
It's pretty much the same way it is now. South Enders, North Enders.
But
Right.
East
know what?
Siders, West Siders. Okay, that's pretty
Well,
simple.
and I had heard stories about there was a car club called the Cowboys, and there was another one, and they actually had a line like, "Hey, if you're a cowboy, you don't cross this street." I haven't had anybody be able to back those stories up.
I haven't heard that, but I belong to Ramrod
in
Club.
the early 50s. So
I belong to Ramrod Club, and we met over on 13th and Market at Conoco Station, Jim House's place. And we had about 45 members or more.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, no. And they
45 members.
Hey, we worked at it. You didn't go over and sit on your butt and say, let somebody else do it. No, you had to work or they kick your butt out.
What'd you do, though? I mean, what was part of being a part of the club?
We had our own rail dragster. We took it to McCollum.
that's the kind of club you had.
Yeah, we had to, yeah.
Kind of different
And a guy that our president was Doug Ward, and Tim Hatfield belonged to it, Jim Golden belonged to it, and I belonged to it, and your Uncle Bob belonged.
Yeah,
There's
Jim
45
Golden.
members.
Richard
Richard
Josh
Zakula.
Messer's grandpa.
Richard Zakula, he belonged to it. And we had our uniforms. We go to the car show, Don Wyatt, everybody, we had white breeches, and on the back of the pocket said Ramrod on each side, Ramrod. On the shirt, it had a Hemi on it with the headers and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody red and white, pants was white, shirt was red. You got one. And
Why did you got ketchup on it?
I still got my uniform, but I couldn't get my right leg in it. It's about big.
For my 50th, 8 years ago, we had Larry got us shirts. And I talked to you about having your buddy that does the chain stitching, doing the black ones. We're going to do black ones. And I've got all the shirts and everything, just haven't done it yet. But for my 50th, me, Larry, Dad, and Lynette all had the Ramrodders on.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But there's so
imagine
many.
going around Wichita dressed like that.
There's so many
Only in the
people.
50s.
Hey, back in the day, we used to go to Starburst Show. We covered that place with red and white. You know, it was really, really a neat deal. And old Larry Dale, old Turk, he belonged to it. A lot of people.
He went from there to he joined he's the bike gang for a little bit, right?
Who, me?
No.
Turk.
Turk.
Larry Dale was a biker. Yeah, he still had old evil
He
when
was
he
like
died.
an engineer, man.
Oh yeah, he
built
was.
some
He was a
crazy
craftsman.
cars.
He was a real craftsman, and
So when you guys, if you don't mind, I'll go back to the club for a minute. When you guys were in a club, say your car needed something done and one of the club brothers knew how to do it. Was it a deal where you just go to each other's
Just
house
bring it in
help
and
each other do
tag
stuff?
team.
we'd fix it. We'd fix it. You know.
See, that's a lot smarter than me. I joined a club that's 7 hours away. So when I
Oh,
need to
yeah,
work on my car, it's me.
It's you.
And
yeah.
they got caller ID, so they avoid it.
They
But they're like, "Oh, you know,
Oh,
you
yeah,
broke
see.
down."
They already,
Yeah.
saw on Instagram while I was working on it. They're not going to answer.
You're right.
You don't see the cars in that club. You would just absolutely blow your mind.
Well, that was
And that was everybody's daily drivers too,
Oh,
right?
oh,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
It was
like my car today is something that
You know, Don
No,
White,
no,
Don White that lives now in Colorado Springs, he had a lime green 56 210 sedan. That's 57 Pontiac lime green. Nobody had a 56 that color. And it was down on the ground with 3 deuces on it and traction bars on it.
now talk about
Gold wheels. We didn't have no wheels, you know, just gold painted wheels. It was a nice showpiece.
no talk about peer pressure. Take your family vehicle, you tow it, you tow a car to the drag races with your family vehicle, and your race car breaks. So you take your only reliable vehicle and you drag race it, and you break that car. And you're how far from home?
That was my 56 Chevrolet you're talking about. The identical one I got now. I took to Parsons, Kansas, and I towed a 36 Ford pickup truck.
The race truck.
Yeah, it was painted purple with a Hemi in it with 6 or 8 Strongbird 97s on top. On the tailgate, it said Raunchy. I hauled him through to Parsons. They talked me in dragging my 56. Well, I had 3 deuces, done talking to Mallory. It ran pretty good in a 411 screw. About the second time through, I heard the rear end go clang, boy. I mean, it went out. I thought, I bet I ain't got $15 in my pocket to get home, you know. And Don said, well, his name was Don Kitchen. He said, Lenny, you pulled me over here. I guess I had to pull you back with the 36. I said, can you do that, Don? He said, whoa, yeah. So me and my brother-in-law went out this farmer's field. We cut 2-3 pieces of barbed wire and wound it tight.
You vandalized somebody's fence.
And tied my bumper up and tied behind his pickup. He pulled me all the way to Wichita, Kansas.
Balin wire.
With
Statute of limitations.
6 or 8 Strongbird 97s on that. And the tailgate said Raunchy on it. Boy, it
And
was
that towed you back?
he told me back, and I bet I was 3 weeks trying to buy a rear end for that car. I didn't have no money.
But you went drag racing.
Oh, I
After
went.
it was paid off.
You're right. You're right.
You know it wasn't paid off. Hell no.
No, back to the 56. His dad co-signed for the 56 for $1,050.
Yeah,
And
$1,050.
before he made the first payment, Was it Don Engel that nosed and decked it?
No. Got him Wheeler over on.
My grandpa comes home
St.
and
Paul.
he pulls in, he sees primer on the hood, and he walks around it's nosed.
That ain't what got him when I lowered it.
When you lowered it to the ground.
Oh,
But
yeah.
how'd that work out? What grandpa do you?
He put my butt out of bed and wanted to kick my rear end. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, well,
But
he got it
anyway.
It's essentially a brand new car.
It was a brand
year
new
old.
car.
Yeah, a year old. Can you imagine that?
No.
Yeah. But it's a car I got now. I mean, it's identical to what I got.
Yeah.
And same color and all, and it's just one of them deals, but I wish they had my convertible back.
So out of the 185 cars, there's been a couple you wanted bad enough to recreate. Like the
Oh,
56,
yes,
right?
yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, I used to go to Paul Mass. I said, Paul, how much you going to charge me to do this package tray, roll and pleat it? He said, that'd be about $12, Lenny. I said, we got to have that done. How about the kick panel? About $6-8. I said, well, I want the dash roll and pleat. He said, now that's a different ball game. He said, about $30. So he did it right there at his house on my 56. The whole thing rolled and pleated.
Paul Matz was a real notorious
Oh.
interior guy.
He
In fact,
was-
I've got a Paul Matz interior.
yeah. Paul Matz was
You
a
got
man.
one.
Back in the day, he was interior man for Wichita, Kansas. Yeah.
And then, there's always a new guy coming down,
Well,
It
Tom
just,
Richardson
Tom,
was a man, Tom.
Dale Bybee passed away.
Yeah.
Was Stanford part of that crew? Stanford?
Yeah, he did cars down in
The interior
Hayesville,
guys are
Hayesville.
different than the body and paint guys.
oh yeah, they never got dirty.
Well, but it's a talent
Oh yeah.
to say the least.
They're both
Just
talented.
take try to stitch something up. Body and paint man can never do it. You gotta have patience.
Well, it's an art to do that
Well,
stuff.
it's all art.
Wiring a car is not something everybody can do.
Right,
That's a fact. That's a
Plumbing
fact.
car is not something everybody can figure out.
No.
No, there's. I mean, we all know guys that can do it all to a very high level.
Yeah.
You
Right.
gotta kind of hate those guys. No, we love those guys.
Right. I love hate.
But
yeah, it's
what
It's
was
an
your
art to
favorite
do
thing
that.
do?
huh?
Working on a car. What was your favorite part? Working
Oh,
on a
that's a
car?
no-brainer.
I used to do my own painting, son. That's the only thing I do.
You love painting.
I love doing
Dad
that.
was referred to as the best black painter in Wichita. And the guy met him. He goes, I thought you were black. And he goes, what? He goes, well, I heard you're the best black painter in town. Only thing Dad would spray was black paint.
Oh yeah, I said I like. black.
And I
like
remember
black.
being a kid, man, we go down to Wheeler Bennigus. Dad go down there and get 2 gallons of 99L, 5-gallon bucket of lacquer primer. And
I said, only $9 a gallon that paint was, and
I painted a 34 Cabriolet for Dad, and he wanted lacquer on it. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh yeah, you hit her with some reducer and make it, lay it down so it don't flash on you real quick. And I kept spraying that lacquer, and I go, this shit ain't never gonna shine. It ain't gonna flash. You don't want it to. You want to get it built up. You put 10 coats on, take 5 off. Put 10 more coats on,
Well,
take 5 off.
people
You're
don't
talking about
understand that.
slow going.
Them old paint jobs like go ahead choke. He used to gas sand them.
Oh no way!
Lacquer, use gasoline, sand, polish before you
But
polish.
painters lived to be 50 back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Well, that was a very.
But can you
overly-
imagine?
Right.
Can you imagine gas sanding one though with gasoline? Yeah, they
No.
did that back in the day.
Well, there used to be a badge of honor in the magazines. Oh, it's got 12 coats of paint. I mean, that was part of the
Yeah,
article. when they're
24
talking
coats
about
of
how many
hand rubbed
coats
lacquer. They
Yeah,
say.
24
Yes,
coats,
sir.
a hand rubbed lacquer.
Yeah,
Now we do a drop coat, a connect coat,
always.
top coat. 3
Always
coats.
when I shot with black car, I always put 9 coats on because I knew I was going to take 2 off, And I'd buy 2 or 3 gallons of 99L for $9.
So what's
I
a
still got
gallon of
4
paint
gallons.
today, of black paint today?
I bought some 9900. It's from Speeds, and it's $5.46 a gallon before you buy the $280 activators for it.
That's just the color. Right?
That's just the
paint.
color. Yeah, right. And
I
then
still
you
got
gotta top
4. I
coat it.
still got 4 gallons of 99L.
What we
I
gonna
bet it's 60 years old.
We're gonna spot in. We're gonna spot in his sedan with it.
My
Yeah.
2-door.
2-door sedan. Car's been painted since '78, and it's starting to tell a little bit, but it's been in a barn its whole
Well,
life.
But the thing with lacquer is once it starts to show that age, it actually kind of looks
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
If you don't mind the look of it, it ages in a pleasing way.
But if you're a painter, you can't live.
But
Because it shows failure. You want to fix it.
Exactly. Well, it's a discussion I've had many times in the audio world. It's like, yeah, MP3s are really good. But vinyl gives you a special kind of something that only vinyl does, and it sounds a good considered way. And if you want that, there's one way to get it.
Right.
If you want that perfect paint job, there's one way to get it. You got to patch those spots back in or sand it all off and put the new stuff on.
That's it, man. And then, you get the guys
And
like,
we used to try to find something to rub and make them really, really shine, and we get that color sanded. I use that liquid ebony on it, ebony, black. Yeah,
Liquid
black.
ebony.
Oh yeah, it'd make it shine a little bit, but still wasn't enough. We do everything in the world. We try to make it look better.
And is it a lack of moisture in the old lacquer paint that makes it start to check and stuff like that? I mean, is it something where you,
man, it's
just gets-
it's such a hot finish. It's nothing but solvents when you apply it.
Yeah, it's
solvents are what you deliver. To
Don
they
Engel, I
help
learned.
deliver the product to the panel, and it gases off. over
Lonnie
the
used to work
years.
for Don Engel. He knew Don real well.
Yeah,
Don's still alive. He's 92 or 3 years old. But anyway, he taught me anything I knew about painting the cars, and he just laughed at these guys in Wichita, these hot rodders. They'd say, get that car stripped down to bare and then you primer and they block it out and block it out.